Welcome back to another message crawler update. I know it's been a long time between updates, but I've been working on some really cool stuff, and really cool stuff takes really long time. Today, I have major update to Cellebrite XML importer. Now, in the previous videos, I never actually demoed to you how the tool works. I never loaded any real data because I never had any data to share with you. But today is different. Today I have an XML file that we can load to message crawler and actually look at it. Now I have to say thank you to Downstream. Those are the guys who generated this data from on the phone. They collected it using Cellebrite, sent it to me for testing and use, and they're also okay for me to use this data in a video to show to everybody. So thank you, Downstream. Now let's go to my screen and take a look at some of the cool stuff that I've built. Alright, so we're in the message crawler and I already have some data loaded, so it's kind of a big set. I don't want to take too much time, but let's go into Cellebrite and we talk about what's new here. Alright, so this is the new screen, and the first thing you'll notice is one import button. We used to have like 3 buttons and they were different for old version, new version, large files, small files. Some files had a limitation with the participants. All that is gone. The parsing algorithm has been rewritten to load very large XML files and include all the inactive participants that would have been missing if you had like an XML over a few gigabytes. That was the middle button you could be using. So right now it's been recreated and it will load all the data, hopefully without any issues. Again, this is new. So that's the first update. We have in a single import button. Next, if we look on the right section here, we have something called import metadata. So what people asked me is, they said, hey, I'm getting these Cellebrite XML images and I need to search them, and I need to search everything, not just text messages. I want to search across the whole thing. What if there are like call logs, notes, whatever's in there? So in this version of message crawler, we have support for Cellebrite metadata. So if you check this checkbox, it will import all the objects that are in the XML that are not necessarily text message related. And what we have here is a list of fields you might be looking for. These are the fields that will go into grid, so you don't have to specify many here. That's if you want to have some fielded data, but most of the metadata is going to go into extract text, which we'll talk about in a second. So that's something you can use for searching. All right, so those are the two major updates. Is we have single import button and we're able to load additional metadata. Now, with other tools, we have something called repository, where message crawler will hold on to all the documents and you can choose to copy your attachments to repository. But more importantly, you can generate native files and extracted text. So what's a native file for an XML? Well, it's XML. What message crawler will do is it will take the big XML file, it'll chop it up into the little ones, and those are going to be the actual native files for individual text message or metadata object. We can use them to see if message crawler is working correctly, to see what the actual original data is. This way, if someone questions something like, hey, this doesn't look right, or am I missing something? Well, they can look at the native file, they could see original XML, and they're not too hard to parse with your eyes if you're just looking at one of them, and you could say like, oh yeah, that's okay, that's how it was, okay, good. And the extracted text, what that does is it takes every field, regardless whether there is a column for it in the table or not. It pulls it all out, all the nodes, attributes, values, they all get dumped into big file. We're going to look at it in a second. And you can use that for your sort of full text searching. So if you don't know what you're looking for, you could do a search and you can find all the data. So if we have all these options checked and we had import, we will wind up with something like this. So we have different record category. We're gonna have 3 categories. So text messages will go into one category, Cellebrite metadata in another, and then eDocs in the third. So Cellebrite has a section for just files, right? It just logs all the files. So for files, we don't have too much data. We have file names, we have file source, we got some metadata here where they're coming from. Again, it's up to you if you're interested in that or not. If we scroll lower, we are going to find our Cellebrite metadata. So again, if we expand it here and scroll to the right, you'll see that we have a calendar item. We can scroll further. We'll find health information. So we can find all kinds of metadata that's also stored inside the XML file, like a web browsing history, dictionaries, all kinds of stuff. And if we keep going lower, we will find our text messages, of course. Now this is the thing we've seen, and we've done this a million times. What's interesting here is the Cellebrite metadata and how you can work with it. So one of the things I added is, well, those native files and extracted text. But how do you look at them? Well, I have this button called Open Viewer. And if I open that viewer, and what I'll do is I'm going to cheat. I'm actually going to resize it because I already have it open. And what we'll do is if we click on this metadata, you'll see we have our repository extracted text and repository native path. So if we click on native path, we can see the actual XML. We're actually going to tell message crawler it's XML. So if we click on some of these, you could see that we're looking at the original XML document. So we know what we're looking at. We have, this was a health data, I believe, and we have all the information here. If we want to see what the extracted text is, we can switch here, refresh, and we see that there is a timestamp, there is duration, basically all the information, like we have party attributes, they were all extracted and saved. So this is the text you could potentially be using to do full text searching in your Cellebrite XML file. And your native file could be used as a sort of quality control tool. You know, you could see what else is missing, what else do I need to find here. So that is the update for Cellebrite XML. Next thing I want to do is take the same code and apply it to convert, right? This way we don't have to load data into the grid. We can just go straight from XML to RSMF or DAT files or something like that. But the point is, now that I worked out this code, I want to reuse it for this conversion process. All right. A couple of things to keep in mind. I just finished this. This is a very, very new code. Just finished writing it. It needs a lot of testing. So I'm going to be testing. If you are part of a beta program, if you're working with me on some of it, what I need specifically is a little bit more, QC from everybody, making sure the names, the froms, the tos, they get populated correctly. Make sure we have all the records being loaded. Just general checks, and this is something I'm going to be doing in probably a few weeks from now. So this is beta, this is fresh code. It's very exciting. I really like it, but it does need to be tested. All right, I'm very excited. I'm going to continue working on this. Thank you for checking out this update. I will see you on another one.